Hello and welcome again to Maker's Murphy. Today I'm going to show you how to clean up your table saw and make it work great again. Now, if you are like me and you have a table saw with a cast iron surface, and you're also like me and you like to do silly things like use it as a work surface for painting or staining or even to set things on, what you're going to find is that you're going to get rust spots, you're going to get stain, you're going to get paint and things like that on your table saw, and it's not going to work well for you at all. So I'm going to show you how to fix this. It's going to be super simple. All we're going to need is a couple of items that you probably have around the shop, and if not, they're simple to get. And I'm going to show you how to make your saw work for you again. So stick with me, and let's let's put this table saw back to working good again. All right, so I said we're just going to need a couple simple tools, and I'm going to show you what those are right now. One, an orbital sander. Orbital sander with some finer grit. I think I have some 150 grit on here. That should work just fine. 180 grit would work, even 240. 60 grit, probably don't want to go that low. Even an 80 grit, probably not that low. Although if you have some paint or something else that's stuck on there really well, you might have to go with a lower grit. But for most cases, a medium grit, somewhere between 120 to 240 grit should be fine. I like the 150 for this project. So you'll need that. And then all you'll need is some wax paste or paste wax. If you happen to have Johnson's, this is the best, but you can't get it anymore. And if you want to buy any of this, good luck. These cans go on sale on eBay for ridiculous prices, $50, $100 a can, because it's not made anymore, but it's great stuff. It's also really good for finishing wood products or projects, correction. Um, Although I will say it does smell terrible. So if you're going to use it to do a wood finish, put a nice wax finish on a wood project, you're going to have to let that air out for probably a week before really those petroleum distillate smells go away. An alternate I have found is this tray wax, paste wax. Works just as good. The last time I resurfaced my saw, this is what I used, and it worked just fine. Thought it had a locking lid. Maybe it doesn't. Anyway, so that, and then you'll need some gloves, unless you want to get this all over your hands, which you probably don't, and some paper towel. That's all we need for this. So let's get right to it. I'm going to show you how to get this done in a very short amount of time and get your saw to working like new again. As you can see on my saw, I've got rust stains, I've got stain stains, I've got paint stains. I got a little bit of everything going on there. Before we move on, you may be even asking yourself, why do I care? I mean, it's just my table saw top. Why do you even care about how smooth this is? Well, it's a safety issue more than anything else. Because if you're trying to push a work piece and it's getting caught up on things, you could easily move that to an undesirable location. But it makes a huge difference whenever you're ripping or cutting wood, that to be able to have it slide seamlessly with very low friction is going to help you out a lot. It's going to give you nice clean cuts, and it's just going to make life a lot better. So I want to show you the before, and then we'll take a look at the after when we're done. So this is just some plywood that I have. Just giving it a gentle push, and we'll see how that changes once we get done with refinishing this table saw. Now, a word of caution before we get going. I am going to be wearing breathing protection and hearing protection. It can get kind of loud, especially in enclosed space using the orbital, and all this junk that's going to come up, all this dust, you don't want to be breathing that in. So definitely wear your breathing protection, wear your hearing protection, wear your PPE. As a matter of fact, I'm going to find my safety glasses as well, just in case something comes flying up. I don't want to hit myself in the eyes. Wear your PPE. All right, now it's going to be hard to hear me because I got my mask on. But that's all right because this is going to get loud anyway. So all we're going to do is we're going to sand the whole surface so it's a nice, smooth finish, and get rid of all these rust marks, all the paint and stain and everything else. Real super simple. Now, one thing I will say is when using the orbital sander, one thing you want to be careful of is as it hits these tracks, it will tend to tear this up. So just be aware of that. Try to go over those gaps and not get too close to it, or else you're just going to tear up your sandpaper prematurely. It's okay if you do, especially if you buy it in bulk like I do, but you don't want to tear it up too quickly, too prematurely. All right, I'm not sure how long that took us. A few minutes, 5 minutes maybe. But as you can see, that already looks a lot better than it did before we started. Now, look at all that. Ew. Let's wipe off that residual that we just sanded. Because we just sanded steel. There's going to be a lot of mess there. And even more is going to come up later. But just give it a good wipe down, a dry wipe down. You don't want to put any kind of liquid on here because, well, it'll bring rust again. Now, the fun part is getting these channels here for your miter sled. Now, if you've got anything down in there, what I have done in the past is I've sacrificed a chisel and run a chisel through here to try to pull up some of just the, again, paint and other stupid things that I put on my table saw. A greenie would work well. I don't happen to have one of those right now. And seeing as I very rarely use my miter sled, I'm not even going to bother with it right at the moment on my table saw. But it's something you may want to do. Either get a chisel that'll fit just inside that groove and scrape some of that out, or Like I said, you could use a greenie or even a piece of sandpaper, 80 grit or 100 grit sandpaper, and just fold it up and put it down in there and clean that channel out. But we got this, it's already feeling really smooth, but it's not quite where we want it to be yet. We just got rid of all that surface rust and other contaminants off of there. Now it's time for the magic. So like I said before, all we're going to need is some paper towel, a little bit of that there, and some kind of clear paste wax. So this doesn't take much. The last time I did my table saw was a few weeks ago, and that's as much as I used right there. So it doesn't take much at all. I like to fold the paper towel a couple times just to make it kind of a smaller piece. Get some of that wax on there. And then just apply the wax to all of it. 100% of the metal surfaces. And it doesn't hurt to do it on any of the other parts of the saw either. Plastic or melamine or anything else that's there. It's not going to hurt it. But definitely want to get all the metal surfaces for sure. It doesn't take a lot of wax. You're just putting a nice thin coat on there. Make sure you get all of it. Get down inside your miter sled channel as well. Especially if you have cleaned that out. Look at that. Look how nasty that is. It's still pulling up those little bits of super fine bits of metal that we just sanded. And while you're sanding, if you noticed, I would kind of angle my sander, dig it in a little bit. It's fine. It's not like you're sanding wood. You're really not taking anything, any material off. It's just a super, super thin, fine amount of material. And really, it's just the surface stuff there you were taking off. But the metal will be fine. So make sure to do your extension wings as well. It's all part of it. It's all surfaces where wood can slide across. It might even take a little bit more because this isn't nearly as smooth as the table surface. You want to build up a nice wax layer there over time. If you do this regularly, maybe once a month or so, you can really build up a nice wax layer and fill in some of that material or those gaps where it's kind of more of a rough cut, if you will. Just drop the chunk on the floor. It's fine. But we've got all that applied, and now we just wait a few minutes. Let that haze up a bit, and then we're going to wipe it off. While we're waiting for the wax to kind of haze over and dry, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, please do. It's absolutely free. It helps me out, and it helps me to get additional viewers that I can share other people's channels with as well. One thing I like to do is support other makers and really help out the community as a whole. All of us have something different to contribute, and heck, if you're a maker yourself, doesn't matter if it's woodworking or other crafts or music or anything, I like to support makers. So, hey, drop a comment, drop a like, and let me help share your channel and share your content. We're all about helping each other out. We've all got something different to contribute. We can all learn from each other. Thank you. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes, and I think on video you can see a bit of that haze there. So that's what you're looking for, is you're looking for that haze. And once that comes up, the longer you let this sit, kind of the better. But you don't want to go too long. You don't want it to harden. So anyway, from like 10 to 30 minutes should be good. But now we're just gonna wipe it off. And you can already, I mean, you can't see it on video, but you can feel how smooth that's feeling already. And we're pulling up even more of that grime that we sanded there. Nice smooth surface. Grab some more paper towel. Wipe all this down. And don't forget those extension wings. Get all that as well. All that gunk, nastiness gone. All right, now let's test it out. Let's see, with that same piece of wood that we had earlier. So, same piece of wood. Oh, why are we sticking? Maybe I need to wipe some more. So let's go ahead and wipe some more. Don't make a liar out of me. Might still have some residual wax on there. You just want just the thinnest coat of wax on there. So if you find it sticking, you may need to even reapply wax. You may need to wax it again. Maybe you let it sit too long. Feeling a lot better. I'm getting a lot less junk coming up with these wipes. Mostly clean at this point. Let's try it now. You can definitely feel nice, smooth. Probably should have done this with it before. Can't go back and do it now. But it's definitely a much smoother surface now. If I were cutting this, I'd be able to just glide that across, make a nice smooth cut without any resistance. You want this as frictionless as possible. Yeah, that's beautiful. I might even, oh, I've got some junk somewhere still. So I might have to do a little bit more wiping. I see a spot there. But once you get this nice smooth finish, like I said, you shouldn't have to sand it down all too often. Just as you do silly things like put a drink on there or use it to stain or paint or whatever. I'm sure we all do it. But you may want to add wax, just a thin coat of wax, every week or so. Regular table saw maintenance is super, super important, especially if you use it a lot. So the more you use it is going to be going to drive you to the higher frequency that you need to add wax to it. But definitely get yourself a can of wax, whether you have some already or you need to go to your local hardware store and get some. I supported a local hardware store that was not a big box store, and I found that can, and it's worked pretty well so far. I will say the Johnson's is better. I don't know why. It is slightly better, but again, you can't get the Johnson's anymore. So before I sign off, I just want to show after that third, fourth wipe, whatever it was, now it's definitely sliding a lot smoother. So I just had too much wax on there. So take a board, test it out. Look at that, especially compared to the original. That's wonderful. Just glides right over that surface. So do yourself a favor. Do this to your table saw. It also works well on any other metal surfaces that you have. So do yourself a favor. Do this to your table saw. It takes all of 20 minutes to do. I'm sure that you've got time. Sometime in between projects. You know, I'm sure this video edited down will probably be around 15, 20 minutes. Real time, that's about all it took. Sand it, wipe it down, wax it, then buff the wax off, and you'll be ready to go. Now, one thing I forgot to mention earlier on, and this should be obvious, but make sure that your blade is all the way down before you start. The last thing you want to do is be either waxing this or even sanding it and catch your hand or your sander on your blade. Especially, I just installed a brand new Diablo blade. It's wicked sharp. Wicked sharp, dude. You definitely don't want to catch yourself on that. That'd be a bad day. So make sure your blade is down. Safety first. Wear your PPE and go ahead and resurface your table saw. It works well on planers. It works well on any metal surfaces that you have. Your miter saw, your sander, your, like I said, your planer, your table saw. Any of those metal surfaces you have where you're going to be potentially sliding wood or just having wood contact, go ahead, wax it down. You're going to really thank me for it later. So thank you very much for watching. Please share this video, like and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you on the next one. Go make something.